Napija nama Yarawa nama Shinami. Napija Mogoi. Good words, good thoughts, the spirit relatives. Napija Nanishtahai Pa. Ibi Pa, blessing our water, our drinking water. Diapa in the earth in a good way. Nanishtahai Pijatumia. Blessings in a good way. For all you water protectors that are wondering when you go to court, here's just a few tips here, is to make sure you communicate with your attorneys that what it means to plead not guilty and how many of the water protectors are already have their cases dismissed. If you were in the similar place at the time at these other water protectors, then you need to communicate with them. Your court cases is coming up, and if you plead, that's actually in the court's mind a guilty. It's when you're pleading. So just keep that in mind. I got my court date coming up in July 12th, and I've been reviewing all the footage. And I'm going to give you guys some tips here. The discoveries. If you were arrested on the North Camp, you can request the discoveries. I've been spending a lot of hours going through the videos and looking at every single officer who was wearing a camera. Also, all you guys that were wearing cameras, you guys can inbox me on digital smoke signals if you have some media, upload it to Vimeo or to Dropbox on November 20th so I can review the footage. And we can... There's audio in the footage of officers pulling specific people out. So I need you guys to look at those footage, look at them very, very, very closely at that footage and see if you have anything in there that you hear those officers picking people out. The other one looking at was Red Fawn's footage, and also on November 20th, that was actually October 27th, Red Fawn was arrested. But I've got all these video timelines of people, men being tackled and taken to the ground, and there's only 2 officers, sometimes 3 officers, sometimes 1 officer. And I want you to review your footage as well. There's an officer that was jamming his billy club into the side of water protectors as they were already on the ground. There's a clear video of an officer, the guy that's filming me. If you look at the north, when I chased the officers for, I called them in at 911 as peeping toms, when we didn't know at that time they were using Osheti Shikoan and Sacred Stones and Rosebud as a training ground. That day, that particular officer, he had an iPhone, and I'll post his picture as well. He's bald. He's always the one holding the camera, and at the North Camp, you'll see him. He's got the same look, same beady eyes, and he's holding a camera. He's always got a camera. He's got a black mask on. He's easy to identify. Him and Kirschmeyer and them, they're all the bill. We see these guys all the time. So as much as I've been looking at this footage, and as much as they've been looking at the footage as well, you can request these discoveries to check it out if you got court coming up. Very, very important, relatives. This is something that I need your help with. I know the attorneys need your help with. Listen to the audio and hear what they've said, hear what they're saying. And I'm looking at audio where they're actually pointing people out, and then they wait for the opportunity, and then they're picking them off. So that was October 27th. And now September 3rd, I'm looking back at the footage of the license plates to the security company that wasn't licensed to be there, looking at all the footage prior to that with the dozers and the securities, the actual, well, they weren't licensed security. But also in the footage that I have was, I need your help too, is on September 3rd, is on the 1806, I have footage of having a conversation with the officers right after the dog bite. None of these security officers were charged at all that I'm aware of right now. So I need your help to be able to hold them accountable, hold Morton County accountable to charge these guys. They were sitting on the side of the road when I interviewed when I was down there interviewing them, and they tried to arrest me for no reason at all at that time, and not really, just tried to get really aggressive towards me when I was there. And I was standing there with Candy Moss, and she was explaining to the officers about the DAPL security. If you can go back to September 3rd, you'll see that live video. Take time. Time is getting faster and faster, and some of the water protectors, I want to really make sure that they do have support, and there is legal support out there for them, and that the fight is in the court as to hold the courts accountable for the due process, that it be followed. Speed forward a little bit to November 20th on the bridge is also one of the documentations of there's footage from the High Patrol helicopter acquired online, and that footage looks like people are throwing things over the edge on fire. But I remember those particular days, and I don't remember seeing that. So you guys need to help us out with the video and events of that time. I was filming most of the day and the evening to late at night, so the times I was there, I didn't see that. But we now know that the what do you call it, tiger swan, we got a nickname for them, kitty cat ducks, but I kind of remember their name is that they actually had guys down there. And so in the footage that I'm looking at, I see them also at Prairie Nights Casino, and we were filming them because they looked, if you guys look back to a footage where I'm talking about all the different looks and how to identify FBI, BIA, and the mercenaries and all the different undercovers by the way they look. And these Tiger Swan guys, from looking at their footage, have this certain look. And so that was, as I was going back in footage, I was like, I remember these guys sitting at a table by themselves and just kind of looking around, feeling out of place, because they did not look like a water protector. They did not look like security. They did not look like BIA, tribal police, or FBI. They looked like they were paranoid, and they were in the hornet's nest, so to speak. So going back to the other footage, I think I have footage of Kyle Thompson when I chased him over by St. Anthony, pretending to be a water protector farther back on an action. And I got clear pictures of his face. So I want to tie in two together, because he has a similar red rag on the October 27th. These are the footage you got to take time and details and look over very clearly, back and forth. I watch them frame for frame as many times I possibly can, and I look at the officers and try to remember them so I can see them in other instances where they're moving forward. I have clear footage now where you have Morton County Police Department, actually like this, Morton County Police Department, you have DAPL Security, and then you have over here National Guard and DAPL Security, all sitting on the same hill pushing October 27th of the treaty camp. This is the type of evidence that we need to hold them accountable with. This is already online. Take a look at the footage, go through it. This is why we film at 4K. This is why we film at the highest resolution, because as history repeated itself, we had an entity out there. We had a sheriff's department, we had a police force, we had a militarized, untrained militarized force against us, and you could feel that hate was coming so hard that you had to document this as a visual legal narrative. This is what I've been doing in these past times as much as I possibly can, to think and go through this footage, remember what I was trying to film. There was so much going on as I was trying to film the bigger picture. Sometimes, many times, I would poke it straight at the officers and try to get their face, because I knew down the road we need to hold these guys accountable. One of the main officers that you guys may have remembered in the jail, when I went into the after Jonathan Mall stole my drone, I went into make a report, and the particular officers that were there are always in the footage. But this one officer, the bald guy, he is always macing water protectors. walking forward, and he's got this angry look, and you'll see him in a lot of the front of the footage, and I'll post his footage, his picture later on. He is one of the most toxic officers that is on the front lines, and what he does is, in the footage, he always walks forward and sprays people, then he'll walk back. He doesn't mask up like the other officers. He doesn't put on the as much armor as the other officers, and some of them, which shows he's got a type of arrogance and ego about him. So I paid close attention to him, and I watch his footage where he's in the front lines in Mandan and different areas on Highway 6, Turtle Island, and the North Camp, and also the bridge. This particular guy, he caught my eye back in October 8th, when I walked in to do the police report. This is the man that walked in, said that Officer Mall, he didn't give me his name or number, but he said that he was not there yet in the building, and then he walks back and comes back with a chicken scratch, if you guys remember that. His own words we're gonna hold him accountable with his own words. So the video doesn't lie. The video and their own words. Whether you're trying to figure out, did they not care that they were being filmed? Did they not think they were going to be held accountable? This is the things that we need your help with. And look at that footage just moment for moment. Listen to their voices, and take a look at that October 20th on the North Camp as well, on a lot of the footage that is there of people being arrested and being hit with the excessive force after they were already zip tied. These are the footage I just continue to watch and make sure that I know who that person was that they tackled, so we can get a hold of them. The officer that I see them filming, so I know they're filming. I know that you guys can request that. We can all request it from the discoveries on October 27th. All right, relatives, got to get back to work, and keep your heads up. This is the hard work. This is the leg work that we're doing right now. I was watching another footage of one of the tribal leaders that was speaking in North Dakota at a law conference, saying that we had nothing, there was no more for us to film after the camps were shut down. That was not accurate. What I filmed was the cross jurisdiction of state encroachment into tribal lands. FBI, as you've seen that with Border Patrol, all the different types of FBI, ATF, and park ranger feds, that is not okay. The militarization that was on the reservation side seemed higher than it was on the other side of the bridge. To document that in Indian country from the time that I left is a red flag for all of us. And as I drove home a few days ago, I was driving past, we have a bombing range on our reservation, and it reminded me of the type of encroachment that we see with contaminated land. And that pipeline, if it cracks, if it breaks under the water, it is going to contaminate the land for years. Our reservation already had to deal, our homelands in Nevada already have to deal with Yucca Mountain, with the storage of nuclear waste. And if you guys ever remember Top Gun, that was filmed in Paiute country with Tom Cruise, the movie Top Gun, right over Frenchman Flats and those areas back there. That's where they used to do underground testing of the atomic bombs. This is what we have been going through in Paiute country right at the turn of the century in the last 100 years, as Western expansion just pushed really hard, and we got hit the hardest, I think, not just pre-contact in the early times of Americas, but at the end of the 1900s with the gold rush and the experimentations and cloud seeding. This cloud seeding is some of the things that we see here with the jets that fly over with a certain exhaust that comes out. We deal with drones, unmanned drones coming over the reservation, and we're on two sides. The Army's on one side and the Navy's on the other side. So this is what we see. And coming into Standing Rock, I was already prepped. We've already had mercenaries on our side over there in Nevada because they're military. They're retired military that come out and have no other job but to do their job. And I was listening to one of the guys that said that he was in the same facility as one of the mercenaries, this Tiger Swan, and they were complaining that they were only getting paid $450 a day. Can you imagine that? And a vet coming out, and that's his only job, and that's what he was paid for. Not very much. So like a contractor that milks every dollar from the government, they were doing it to the Dakota Access Pipeline as well, and fabricating security guards to get double the pay. And we've seen their work, and we've seen what they try to do, but we stayed in prayer, and we continued to counteract in old school technology, which is those hand drums. Boom, boom. If you heard those hand drums going and them songs all night, that's why their technology did not work on us. That's why none of their listening devices could hear, because we were praying all night long. As simple as that. There was nothing mischievous going on. It's what we were there to do, is to pray for the land. And that's one of the most powerful spiritual tools that we had, was that spiritual warfare, is that their spirit wasn't connected, and those songs were helping them reconnect their spirit to the earth. So it was a very powerful time as I sat there on the other side thinking about that with them all the time, thinking about how they sat there and they could hear them songs, and you know they were jamming out when they heard those songs going all night, or them songs going by the bridge, or the songs over by Heyoka. They kept hearing that drum beat, boom, 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 and them songs going, and thinking, wow, I bet you they felt like they were back in history as well. But they were on the wrong side of history is the problem. And it's more than a paycheck. They have to remember that. This is more than a paycheck. They were back home in their own homelands with indigenous people that have fought in the wars. And the indigenous people are the highest minority, they would say, that fought in the wars. And it was because of the code talkers, this country had won that World War II. The strategies of indigenous people that help protect the homelands here. And for them to compare us to something else is a disgrace on what they know about the history of this country. But it lets you know what they think. So we're going to continue to educate them, continue to sing, send blessings and prayers their way because they need it. And to let them know we are still here, standing strong in a good way, united. Despite our differences, we stand strong. So continue, relatives, to research your video. Send it to me, inbox it to me. And on Digital Smoke Signals, send the link, send the Dropbox, send the Vimeo link. Vimeo is free up to 5 gigs, so you can send up there. It's free. YouTube, make it private. And so we can take a look, relatives, and help all our water protectors out there. Many blessings to you. Talk to you guys soon. Aho. Remember, request your discovery. Contact Water Protective Legal Collective. Ask them what you need to do. Inbox me if you need help. I'll send you their way, their information. The protecting water protectors is still going on. I still need your help. Many blessings to all the relations in the 4 directions. Pijatumia. Aho. Pija nama yarwa nama shinami. Na pijamogoy. Good words, good thoughts, the spirit, relatives. Napija, nanishta pa. Ibi pa, blessing our water, our drinking water, diapa, in the earth in a good way. Nanishta pijatumia, blessings in a good way. For all you water protectors, and looking at every single officer who was wearing a camera. Also, all you guys that were wearing cameras, you guys can inbox me on Digital Smoke Signals if you have some media, upload it to Vimeo or to Dropbox on November 20th so I can review the footage. And we can, there's audio in the footage of officers pulling specific people out. So I need you guys to look at those footage, look at them very, very, very closely at that footage, and see if you have anything in there that you hear those officers picking people out. The other one looking at was Red Fawn's footage, and also on November 20th, that was actually October 27th, Red Fawn was arrested. But I've got all these video timelines of people, men being tackled and taken to the ground, and there's only 2 officers, sometimes 3 officers, sometimes that are wondering. When you go to court, here's just a few tips here, is to make sure you communicate with your attorneys that what it means to plead not guilty and how many of the water protectors are already have their cases dismissed. If you were in the similar place at the time at these other water protectors, then you need to communicate with them. Your court cases is coming up, and if you plead, that's actually in the court's mind a guilty. It's when you're pleading. So just keep that in mind. I got my court date coming up in July 12th, and I've been reviewing all the footage, and I'm going to give you guys some tips here. The discoveries. If you were arrested on the North Camp, you can request the discoveries. I've been spending a lot of hours going through the videos.